Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. I wasn't going to do a show tonight. Well, early this morning. It is Friday now, actually, though. But it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I finally just got set up. I told my one friend, Matt, I'm not going to do a show tonight. I'm going to wait until, Friday night to do a show, not Friday 3 o'clock in the morning. But you know what? I'm the most indecisive person that I've ever met. And I have met myself, so yeah. Yeah, there was one sound clip I actually pulled, and I was going to use it last week, and I ended up never using it. And it was because I was supposed to do, this is going to be like the third or fourth time I asked a friend to do a show with him, one I have not done a show with before. And the reason was because he's very computer literate, and I was going to do a show talking about Linux, not just putting it in the title and telling people what I know, but actually getting real life experience on Linux. Well, he kind of, shot me down 3 times like he said he was going to do it, and had me convinced that he was going to do it, and he's trying to do it again. Like, oh, I'll definitely do a show with you. And it's like, yeah, probably not. So I'm not going to wait for him. So anyway, that kind of held me up. Unfortunately, the little bit of a sound clip that I wanted to use, it's from Ken Matthews from last week, wouldn't not have fit into the show anyway, so I can actually put it in. It's not going to fit anywhere at this point. But a couple things. I actually bought on Tuesday when it came out, I bought Black Panther, and I have to say it was a very good film. It was an excellent film, which I was actually surprised about. Why would I be surprised? I don't know, but I was. I did not expect much out of the film. I just thought it was a lot of BS and hype. And personally, I think it was probably one of the best Marvel films I've seen so far. And not that I've seen every Marvel film. I liked Captain America. I went out and seen that. I got tired of going to the Iron Man movies, so I might have missed 1 or 2 of those. And a couple of the other ones I just had no interest in seeing. I'm not much for these comic book movies as much as I thought I was years ago. I know my friend Matt's going to shoot that down, but it's the truth. I mean, I do like going to see movies, but I like more. I'm a horror buff. And, I probably, after seeing tonight, I actually saw Deadpool beforehand. It was, the day before the film officially is released. And that was actually really entertaining, but in a different way. Like, Black Panther had a very good storyline. The characters were really good. There was one I would have wished they kind of toned it down a little bit. It was a little bit too I can't even think of the proper word. I don't want to even use the words I'm thinking. But I just, like the villain, it was just a little, the villain, like, what the villain was in the movie, I don't know much about Black Panther. I understand it came out, I think, like 1966 or something like that, originally when it was in the comics. And, they obviously had to update it a bit. But, yeah, it was just something about the one character that just really kind of bothered me, and it was the villain. The rest of the characters were excellent. And the villain was really good, but it was a little bit goofy, too, at the same time, if that makes any sense. But, yeah, it was. If I had to pick, like, a Marvel film, this would be one of my top favorites now, was Black Panther. So it was a risk when I bought it, but it ended up being a good risk, because it ended up being a really good film. And now, Deadpool, because it does fit in the Marvel Universe, by the way, if you didn't know that, was a lot different, because that's more, I was going to leave a message with a friend, I did. I left like 3 messages to my friend Matt. He's probably annoyed by that, but I'm sure. So why did you do it? Well, I don't know, because I just like to talk. Excuse me. So anyway, the best way I could describe Deadpool is it's more of a farce. Like, it's a complete comedy, the movie. So from the moment it starts rolling, the film, to the very end credit, it's got some type of comedic, I don't know, like, it's got comedy in it. In the titles, the credits, everything is just, it's very adult humor. It's not meant for children, believe it or not. It's more of an adult comic. And it was funny, I was mentioning to the one friend of mine that, maybe a couple of them, that one thing that had stuck out in this film was that Ryan Reynolds has been wanting to do a Deadpool movie for like at least the last decade. I'm not even joking. And at one point they did make a Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds, which he always wanted to do. Excuse me. And they totally screwed it up. Marvel did. And he kind of made a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke in the credits at the very end to basically tell them to go F themselves on the way they screwed up the character and the timeline. So he tried to, in a comical way, in the credits, he kind of corrected the way they screwed it up with different characters over the years that they had Ryan Reynolds allowed him to do, so to speak, because he did more than just Deadpool. So, yeah, he just got his last laugh in, because Deadpool, the original movie, did really well for a rated R film that's a comic book movie. And obviously this one, he just kind of went even further with that whole thing. And he corrected things that Marvel, he probably felt screwed up, I'm sure. And he made that very apparent, if not in the movie, but at the very end in the credits. So, yeah, I would say definitely both of those were really excellent. It does give me more of more thought into, which I wasn't originally, go see that new Avengers movie, because I had no interest in seeing that one. And now maybe I might reconsider. Anyway, there's like a comic book convention this weekend down in Philly, and you know what? I'd love to go. In fact, I really wanted to go, and my one friend has a bet with me. Not a bet, but he says, I'll guarantee, Walter, you're going to probably at least go one of these days. And it's like, dude, I really do want to go one of the days. I've been going to the Philly conventions for the past 20 years, I think. Now, I usually go with my one friend, Todd. Now, he didn't go last year, and I ended up going. And it's not that I don't want to go. In fact, I really, really want to go. The problem is I just don't have enough money to make it worth my while, I guess. So it might be the first one, possibly. Possibly I might miss this one. Now, it would be like if they add it last minute, because that always draws my attention, is if they put a Doctor Who, I'm looking through the characters now, a Doctor Who actor who was in the show. That would make me like reconsider again. Even though I had from the last comic convention I went to, I had damage done to my car. I got that fixed. Thank God within a day. It had taken 2 weeks to get it set up with a body shop to fix my bumper because it got busted in the back from this last convention around the house. And that costs a lot of money. So that one on my credit card. So, I have a deductible, which helped out a lot because I have a $500 deductible, but it was a $1,300 repair for just a bumper that looked like it wasn't anything wrong, but the damage was underneath the bumper. So, and I'm very anal about my car. So, I got to pay off that debt. I'm not bringing as much money as I normally do. I'm still bringing in a decent amount, but I don't think it's enough for me to be able to go down to the city. Consider, and I mentioned this to a friend, I don't know if I mentioned it to audience members, but I am actually going to Hollywood Vampires on Monday. So that's a problem too. And I got a bunch of tickets that I bought for the rest of the year, pretty much up until September, I think, which is almost 3/4 of the year, for upcoming concerts that I wanted to go to. This is when I knew I had a little bit more of an income coming in, which is, unfortunately, it's not there right now. So that kind of puts everything in a little bit of a stance because, like, yeah, I want to go down the city, but that costs money for the gas, the parking. If you take the train, you're still spending money. And then when you're in the conventions to get in the door, and then if I want to see one particular celebrity that really stood out that I really wanted to see, possibly two, but one in particular, maybe three. I keep on looking. I see more people I'd kind of be interested in going to see. But mainly it was Michael Rosenbaum. He actually played in the show Smallville back in the day. And, yeah, I actually would love to see him, but I can't see how I'm going to do it. So it's a heartache for me, believe it or not. I'm not going to get much out of it because you only get to meet these people for a few minutes. But I do enjoy walking around. But I hate to say it, the one that's around my house now, it's called the one in Philly is called WizardCon. The one around my house, even though it's not in Philadelphia, is called the Great Philadelphia Comic Con, which is kind of stupid. It's not even remotely near Philly. It's close enough, I guess. So that one actually is bringing more to the table just as much as I will get down in Philly. And it's bringing big-time celebrities, so that part does help. But I do like to go to these ones that are in arm's length, so to speak. That I'm not afraid to drive to at least. And unfortunately, this is going to be the first one looks like I may miss. So I don't know. I might make another podcast and say, hey, I did go to the convention. I don't know yet. So that's a little bit of a heartache for me, though. I'm going to put this page down to put it to rest because it's driving me crazy. Just looking at it makes me more depressed. I don't want to get into the nasty stories yet, I don't think. But yeah, so other than that, folks, that's it for tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Me, God, if I made a 15-minute show, a 12-minute show, that would be incredible. Hey, I'll tell you, though, before I get into any nasty stories, it was kind of funny. I've gotten highly addicted, and I don't know if it's good or bad because I haven't heard much, maybe because it's too new, is this new VR product. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last show, but I bought an Oculus Go. I was considering on doing it, but I did actually plunge down the money on a credit card and bought one from Best Buy because you could only buy it from Best Buy, Amazon, I think, and Newegg. So store-wise, you could only buy it in one store, and that's Best Buy. That's the only retail store it was allowed, I think, at this point to carry the Oculus brand of the new Go. Now, Target does carry an Oculus product, but it's the one that you basically put your phone into it to make it a VR system. I forget what that one's called. It's by Samsung. But yeah, the actual Oculus products, it seems like for the retail market, Best Buy got their niche on that before anybody else did. They got their hands on it before anybody else did. So, and it was good because I got a Best Buy card. I get it, certain perks for buying stuff from Best Buy. So I didn't have a problem with that. And I was figuring, you know what, I'll just try it out. I'll buy the grandiose one of the Go. There's only two. The Oculus Go. One's 32 gigs, another one's 64. Either one doesn't give you much space, but if I'm going to go for one, I'm going to go for one with more memory because more storage space, I should say, not memory. More storage space so I can put more on there. And I did, and I had taken it out, and I got very addicted to it very quickly. There's good and bad. I got a couple 3D movies on there, about 3 of them. Or is it 2? And one of them, I let my mother watch, and she's got really bad eyes. She's got horrible eyesight, and she was afraid to put them on, but I finally convinced her to put them on. I said, hey, check this out. Here's a 3D movie that's on the Oculus Go. Only paid a couple bucks for it. Makes you look like you're you went to the movie theater. And I put it on. I said, you can just put it on for a couple minutes. She didn't take it off until the film was done, and she said, That was incredible. My mother's like pushing 80 years old, and she thought it was like, she like kind of hinted around. I think she wanted to watch it again, but she's always worried about her eyes. And what I know, I heard it's a misconception if you believe these things will hurt your eyes. Anything's going to hurt your eyes if you stare at it long enough. And it is a very new product, so nobody really knows what the side effects are. And I don't even want to think about it, but my mother really doesn't have too much to lose, but she really enjoyed the film. I feel bad for saying that, but the bottom line is she had a blast when she had it on. She couldn't get it to work at first because I showed her some other three-dimensional stuff in the virtual reality of the Oculus Rift. My father picked up on it right away. He had a difficult time with it. But there is rooms that, like, you can literally sit in a movie theater. Feels like you're, out at the movies by yourself, though. There is some rooms that have other people. And you can sit in and watch, brand new films on a big screen, like a 50-foot screen or whatever you would call it. Or you can watch it on a conventional virtual room that's the size of your, like, slightly larger than your room on a smaller screen. So it's incredible. The movies, I did actually watch 3 movies, I think, or 2 movies myself that I bought. And one was the sequel to Piranha 3D. That was really cool. The downfall in the Oculus is the fact that it only lasts like 2 hours or less. And it seems like the more you run it, the battery kind of drains even faster. Now, I just charge it until when it's got a full charge. Maybe I leave it in a little too long afterwards. Maybe that's already killing the battery too quickly. You can hook a cable to it. It's a USB to micro USB. But I'm always leery about doing that stuff simply because it does have I think it's called the Dragon chip. It's from a cell phone. And I don't know what company uses that chipset, but I know for a fact that one of these cell phone companies, was it Samsung or whatever, had a problem where their phones were exploding in people's pockets. So I think that's why they're a little leery of having people have it plugged in charging when it's like directly on your eyes, because they don't want to get a lawsuit. And hey, you're doing people a favor by telling them don't even take that risk. I mean, the thing is pretty much virtually harmless otherwise. If you decide to use it for let the battery drain normally, you're not going to be able to see a whole movie. Unfortunately, you're going to have to charge it in between. So, but it is very fun. There was one actually that was really cool. I did a couple of these roller coaster ones. I bought one. It's called Extreme Roller Coasters, and it's a virtual one. They have ones with real footage. They have other ones that look like a video game. But I played one of the video game ones, and it was the first time I can actually say I did have to close my eyes a few times while watching it, because I can see where people could probably get seizures, from watching it, because it was going so fast and up and down and around on these loops on this imaginary roller coaster at such speeds that I literally thought I was going to pass out. So it was like, yeah, I can see how this can cause some problems with people. Again, I did not say the word right, but seizures. If you look at any video game or whatever, they always say that. This is the first time I've ever actually pretty much almost experienced, well, not pretty much, but got very close to experiencing something like that. It's like, yeah, I think I know what they mean now. So that particular one, I'm not going to be playing that often. It's fun. You actually don't play, you just experience it. There was one I actually told a friend tonight, this is no joke, reminds me of somebody I know in real life, some woman I have a crush on. And she's somebody that I know. I'm not going to say from where. And it was on this virtual reality thing that I got. It says, face your fears. So, people have fears of insects or spiders. What is it? Anacrophobia, phobia or whatever. They actually had one on this one. It was a cheap program. That's how they get you. They get you to buy this stuff because they sell it for like $1.50, $3, $8 for a movie, and they look really cool, and you end up getting sucked in. I do on buying all this stuff, and it adds up, I'm sure, after a while. So anyway, they had this one, Face Your Fears, and it was like, okay, this is really cool. The basic program to face your fear, it's not fears, but maybe it is fears. The basic program, it shows you, what is that one TV show I really liked? I can't wait till the next season starts. So it's right on the tip of my tongue too. Stranger Things. So I'm like watching Stranger Things in a virtual reality thing. It was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. I wouldn't say it like, oh my God, I'm going to, like some of that stuff on there, yeah, I get very close to like crap in my pants. Like it scares the crap out of me. That particular one, no, I don't think it like made me scared because I kind of, it's a little bit like you expect certain things. But it's really cool. It is really awesome because you got what's called a 360 view, which means no matter where you look, you're in this virtual room. And it's really, really, like I said, it's not necessarily scary, but it's definitely really cool. Well, then they had one, because I do have a fear of flying. And when I do, I don't like doing it. That's the bottom line. I hate to fly. So here they have this one where you're on an airplane and you get attacked by these, I would assume they were supposed to be like gremlins or something like that. It was like, wow, that looks really freaking cool. So being gremlins, they rip the door they rip like one of the wings off, like full of the engines. Start tearing off the wing and then tearing off the side of the door to the plane. So you're like basically losing altitude and air pressure in the cabin. And it was like, wow, this is like really kind of cool. But the thing that what I was mentioning before is this one woman who is the air stewardess looks like this woman I have a crush on. So she's the first one that gets attacked. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be scared, but she gets knocked over and knocked out. So she's laying in front of me, and there's like two other passengers on this plane, on this VR plane. And this one guy who sits in front of me, there's a guy in front of me and some woman, and then there's the stewardess as well. I think there's a couple other passengers, but they're behind me because you can look all around you. So this guy's like screaming at me in this VR room, not real. It's a VR person. And says, yeah, you got to help her. She's passed out on the floor, the air stewardess. And all I can think in the back of my mind is this woman looks like this woman in real life that I have a crush on. And I was like thinking, well, she's passed out. I wonder if I could just kind of reach over and take advantage of this situation where this poor air stewardess, it's not a real person, is passed out. I mean, that's how desperately sick that I think that how could I take advantage of a hot-looking air stewardess who's got knocked out from the plane losing cabin pressure from something swinging and knocking her out, or her banging her head from the plane being thrashed around. And that's really pathetic, but again, unfortunately, that's how desperate I am in my real life. So that I'm trying to figure out a way to take advantage of a fake VR woman. And I really was thinking that way. I was like, I wonder if I could kind of just get underneath that skirt there or something like that. I mean, yeah, that's pretty bad. That in fact, that's really bad. But I'm telling you the God's honest truth. And it's over some VR thing. That's again, it's not even a real person. So I told some friend of mine, and he was laughing about it. And it's pretty bad. But, yeah, that one was supposed to be scary, but it ended up being like, well, this is kind of really cool. One that actually gets to me, there's a lot of them. They do some previews from movies. They do these, what they're called like VR. They give you a feel as though you're part of the film, like King Kong, the new one. Monster Island, I think it was called, or whatever. They had one for that on there. I mean, that's pretty old, I guess, now. It's about a year or two old. It's not new. The one for the new Tomb Raider, that was really cool. A couple other ones, too. So they're very short, but they're very entertaining. and I get a blast out of those. What time do I have? And I'm trying to think. Oh, the one with the King Kong was pretty cool. I didn't get really sick. But then there's ones you are doing a flight simulator on like on an old World War II airplane where you got to basically make sure the levels are right. You're in the cockpit. And the first couple times, I like literally ran right into a side of a mountain because I lost my altitude and I didn't know how to adjust it. And that made me kind of feel a little bit queasy. It's like, wow, I'm glad it's just virtual reality, because if this was for real, I would have been dead like 5 times over because I kept on crashing into things. And then there's a thing that you can actually do a storyline with it, and that's really cool. There is one freebie on another kind of game that's a zombie game that was actually initially made for the Oculus Rift, and then it was put on the Go. They kind of had to change a couple things. That one's really cool because you get really tied up in I get tied up into playing this stuff. Like I get lost in the game shooting these zombies and stuff. It's that particular one, I can't remember the name, but it's like a shooting gallery, but where people pop up, so to speak, but there's zombies that are popping up. And then you're getting shot at by these snipers as well. That game is really cool and it's free. I just don't remember the name. There was another game that's a zombie game. That one scares the freak out. Really scares me because I don't know if you folks know, but there was a game years ago that was in the arcades. Well, not actually in the arcades. It came out called House of the Dead. The game came out after the arcade started dying out. Like it was a late bloomer game. So, and it was a really cool game because the graphics looked like crap. I think it was put out by Sega. And I remember going in the movie theaters, like if I would go see a movie, it's like, yeah, I got to play this. And I'd end up spending more money on that than I probably spend on the movie. This was a couple years ago. It's not a new game, but it came out like after the arcades were already kind of out of the malls. So it was kind of sad. Anyway, there's this game that you can get for the Oculus that looks just like that. But the big difference is this game actually, what do you call it? It surrounds you, underneath you, on top of you, and back of you on 360. So it's really freaky. It's really, really freaky. And that one, if you don't shoot these zombies fast enough or reload your gun, because it does it the same exact way you would play, House of the Dead. Like you have to point your gun down and then you would reload the gun and it does the same thing. It would say reload, because that's what they did in House of the Dead, that game. I think me and my friend Matt, we might have seen that when we were down years ago. That was a while back too. We'd go down Atlantic City. No, not Atlantic City, Ocean City, and they'd have those kind of games. That game in particular, House of the Dead. That's like my favorite game from the old school. So anyway, yeah, it's bad enough when you play this game in an arcade and you got the one screen. But when it surrounds you and you got these zombies trying to eat you, even though it's virtual reality, it can be really frightening. It actually gets your adrenaline up and everything. Like it kills you. So yeah, so that's another thing. Actually, it's pretty funny at the beginning of that game. I wish I could remember the name of these games. I have an app for Oculus, but I don't think I have it on my desktop. I have it on my phone. And I don't want to pull that out right now. But there's this one part where there's this father and daughter in the beginning of the game. Like that's the intro to this particular game. Oh, maybe I will pull it out. I have it right in front of me on my phone. I'm probably not going to see it though. The name of these games. But the daughter, you can see down her virtual blouse. So there I go again, her virtual blouse that I can see down. I'm trying to look at it. It's funny because it looks like a cardboard cutout, these characters, but they're 3-dimensional. Like literally, actually almost, there is no such thing, but almost like 4-dimensional. Okay, it doesn't give me my list of games on my phone. It just gives me what I can buy if I don't already have it. And if I point something I do have, then it'll let me know. So that's for me, that's very, very pathetic that I get my rocks off on a freaking on a freaking, what do you call it, virtual reality chick. Now, the one in this game when you're on the plane that it's Face Your Fears, that girl looked a lot better than the one I mentioned in this arcade-style 360 game. 360 degrees, not Xbox 360, but this game. I do have some stories lined up. I'm just trying to avoid them at this point, obviously, and I've done a pretty good job for the last half hour. Yeah, there was a story my friend sent me the other day, and the soundbite I want to play from Ken Matthews, I'm going to try to squeeze it somehow in. I just don't know, can't figure out how to yet. But, I mean, I'd spent the last two shows complaining about, women and people acting like children, and I do see that an awful lot. Don't get me wrong, I really see that every day with people, especially these millennials. They just don't want to grow up. They want to act like children and have their parents take care of them. So the reason I'm saying that right now, because maybe I can kind of squeeze in real quick this part from Ken Matthews and try to see if it will work. Because he did something on, not necessarily just millennials, but just how the left thinks. I'm trying to squeeze this in. I'm trying to do the best I can, because otherwise it's like, Walter, you're like really changing the subject. Yeah, I know, but there's a reason for that. There is a real good reason why. So again, so I can play this one in sound clip. I'm trying to look for it because I forget what I titled it. It's in a file. Unfortunately, not right in front of me. Ken Matthews. On progressivism. Now, I sent it to two of my friends. I got no response back, and I did ask them about it. So this one was really interesting because my friend the other day, my friend Matt, he just finished out of class, and he said, I kind of didn't do as well as I wanted to. He felt on his final exam for independent study. And I said, well, you know what? It's nothing against him, but I told him you're going to get an A no matter what, because nowadays you can't give anything less than a passing grade to anybody because you might upset somebody. And I kind of try to tell him that, but then Ken Matthews, ironically, maybe it's not an irony, but he said something on that line, and it was addressing, not necessarily, but it did come out about school students and parents would come after the teacher if the teacher did not give their loved one, their son or daughter, an A because, it's not fair. But what he was actually referring to, because you're going to hear the sound clip, and it's like, okay, this part doesn't make any sense. And what he was actually referring to is that whole situation, which I think it happened in Philadelphia at a Starbucks, where two black gentlemen came in and wanted to use the bathroom, but they didn't buy absolutely anything. And they said, we're just in here because we're having a business conference. It's like, but you have to buy something if you're going to sit in here, and you definitely have to buy something you want to use our bathroom. That's their policy. So you know what happened to that probably. So he was referring to that, how by giving in to people into what they want, you're just going to make things much worse. So this might work because the stories I have coming up will actually fit into that. I did miss another story about another convention coming up, not until September, and I'm going to have to go back to that, but I want to get a couple other stories in maybe. So let me do this right now, and hopefully you'll see what I'm trying to do. I hope. So here we go with the Ken Matthews sound bit. It's really short, too.
Progressivism would be only 2 people in the class got an A. There's 25 people. And a lot of the parents found it very upsetting. Well, not a lot, but 3. So the teacher decided to give everyone an A. That's progressivism. So the kid that didn't study, couldn't give a damn about his grade, he gets an A. And the 2 people that did get an A and that busted their tail to study to get an A and were known as the 2 people that got the A in the class, they've just had their success watered down. Now, I'm not comparing the success of an A with the success of using a toilet. But what I am saying is, are you going to have rules or not?
Okay, so I hope you understand why I kind of gave that intro into that sound bite, because he talks about a restroom and I can't say that word right. Excuse me. So that's why I kind of gave you an intro. But you can see, and I see this more and more where people are just, my friend, I don't know if he does it just to stir me up, because it does. But he sends me stories about these people who are constantly being victimized, and I just get tired of like this stuff. Like it doesn't go away. It just gets worse. It's gotten worse in this year and change that Trump's been in office than it had been for the past 8 years with President or ex-president Barack Obama. Because like back then, everything was perfect, everything was beautiful. No, it wasn't. It was a disaster area, but nobody wanted to see it. They refused to see the truth. And now that things are getting better, they're acting like, oh, everything's so horrible. I'm so victimized. If you're a woman or some sort of minority. So it just gets on my nerves. So anyway, he sent me the other day, my one friend Todd, a story from NewJersey.com. Another New Jersey, it's titled this, another New Jersey public official goes off on a cop at a traffic stop, calls a chief a skinhead. So, it says a South Orange Maplewood school board member was caught on camera, because, the police have to have this, and I'm glad they do. Camera using foul language and apparently calling a police chief a skinhead after being pulled over for speeding last month. So, it's this woman, she made an ass out of herself, and she's some type of, school board official, and she's trying to, like, when you watch the video, which is very irritating to watch, she's trying to cry her way out of a traffic ticket. And the guy says, well, you're going over the speed limit. It's a 25-mile zone. I have this in our development. We got 25-mile zones. We have signs up all over the place saying it's 25. And these young girls and these women are going like 60, 70 miles an hour through these places. Well, how do you know? Because trust me, I'm in front of them sometimes, and they irritate me. So why don't you slow down? Now, I don't do it in our development, but other areas where the speed limits are that slow. And I just try to speed up to keep distance because I'm afraid they're going to whale right into me. And I can look at my tachometer, and I know that they're right on my tail. And they figure, well, hey, this guy's going that fast. I can, and I won't get caught. He will. No, you idiot. You're going to get pulled over because you're the one behind me going as fast as I am. And I don't really want to go that fast. I just get very easily irritated. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Oh, that's a new one. I didn't even know I had that one up. I'm looking at some stories that I didn't probably have in my mix. It was one friend Todd sent to me again, once again, from Jersey. Naked sergeant terrorized New Jersey cops with big blue sex toy and feces, lawsuit says. So I don't know where he finds these stories, but he definitely finds some interesting stories to put on my page. My Facebook page, that is. So, same people who make my Oculus. Alrighty, I want to get through these nasty stories. They are the nasty stories I'm mentioning, and I want to get through these and call it a day on those. And then I just want to go back to some more, less, more very super. I mean, well, everything you're talking about, Walter, is superficial. But I mean real superficial stories. Here's another one my friend Todd sent to me. I don't know where he finds this stuff. And I won't even say it's from a website called The Concourse. And there's a video showing this. It's a woman in, like, workout pants, and she gets pissed at, it looks like a coffee shop. I don't know what it is, but it's some type of a coffee shop, I'll call it. Woman furiously shits on, this is what it says in the title of the story. I'm not even making this up. I'm not trying to say inappropriate things. I'm just telling you what it says. Woman furiously, how do you say that? Shits on floor of Tim Hortons. I have no clue what a Tim Hortons is. Throws it at the employee. So she literally pulls down her Lycra pants, this woman, and she is bare ass on the video camera, and she shits on the floor, and she picks it up and throws it at this kid behind a counter, like a coffee shop counter. So that's like really this is crazy. This is what I'm talking about with people going nutso. And it seems like it's always with people who feel like they're being victimized. It really does seem that way. It says a woman in Canada, so this happened in Canada, was so incensed. It looks like incensed about something Tim Hortons employee did or didn't do that she dropped her pants, took a dump on the floor, threw it, grabbed on some napkins, and it says, this is what it actually is stating, napkins, and it's using these words, to wipe her ass and throw those too, and left. So it says there is a it says no perplexing in this sped up leaked video. You're going to see everything that this woman had done, basically, full of rage and previously turds, does to forever scully the floor of this Tim Hortons location and British Columbia. Okay, that's why I hate reading stories. But the point is, though, what makes people tick? And a lot of it, now this was in Canada, they said, British Columbia. It says Canada. It says Canadian or Canada. But, I mean, it just seems like, other countries, which Canada is another country, but everybody is like so worked up just because we didn't get a woman president. That's what it seems like to me. Because I never heard of such. I mean, I know there's nonsense like this out there, in other countries, our country especially. But to this extent, I seriously do doubt it. And I just think that people are so angry that they didn't, and where does this start? It does start with the education system and with our parents. Because, you got people now who, I didn't get my way, so I'm going to take it out on everybody else. Oh, wow, I haven't seen this in a while. That pooping lady's back again. I mentioned this a while back, but there's another story on that. Colorado Springs police beg us to stop calling about the mad pooper. It really says that, and this is just recent again, I guess, who is still at large. This woman who runs around and she pulls down her workout outfit as she jogs, and she defecates on people's yards. So I haven't seen that one in such a long time, but that one just no puns intended, but it really did. It just resurfaced again. Again, I'm not trying to make a joke out of it. It's just a fact. So, certain stories just don't seem to go away, I guess. And it's these women who love to defecate on things. And, hey, they're sugar and spice and everything nice. Remember that. That's what, according to what we heard. Hey, I'm going to make sure I can kind of wean off these bad stories into, some more entertaining ones. There is a story I saw yesterday. It was actually really depressing. Definitely broke my heart. I'm not even just making it up. I am truly honest about this one. Looks like John Bunn, B-U-N-N, wrongfully jailed at the age of 14 in 1991 for the murder of a correction officer, cries as he is exonerated. So this poor guy, was he 14 or was he locked up? Oh, yeah, it says jailed at 14. So, I mean, it's horrible. So there's certain things, and you can see there's the family members crying too. Now, this is one of these situations, I hate to say it, and I'm glad justice was prevailed, I guess. But this man spent his whole entire, a good chunk of his life in jail as a little kid until now, because of somebody wrongfully accusing this person. And it's the funny thing is, he was a kid, and he was an African American. So I mean, it's just there's certain things that maybe, not maybe, it's the truth that there is wrong being done to minority people and stuff. But when you have everybody crying victim, how can I put this? The people that are truthfully being construed or wrongfully attacked or whatever as being the assailant kind of falls on deaf ears. And it's a shame because this one story really just gets to me. It says, tears flowing down the face of a newly exonerated murder suspect as he railed about the crooked process that stole 17 years of this man's life. So let's see. He was 14. I really am bad at math because I just want to figure this one out real quick. 17 plus 14. That should be a real easy one for most folks. So he's 31 years old, but that's like the prime of his life. You know, the years of being a young adult and stuff are gone. He can't get those back. Yeah, tears. Maybe it's the same thing again, but it's easier to read. Tears flown down the face of a newly exonerated Brooklyn man as he, it does say he railed about the crooked process that stole 17 years of his life. And they really did. 17 years is a long time. John Bunn convicted in August of 1991 for killing based on tainted evidence produced by an ex-detective, Louis Scarilla, turned angry Tuesday as the prosecutors announced that they would not re-entry his case. They won't admit that the man was innocent, said the emotional Bunn. Now 41, so maybe I did the math way wrong because he's 41 now. I thought he was 31. So, yeah, I put those numbers in wrong. That's even worse then. He spent a good chunk of his life in prison. I mean, he went in as a 14-year-old. He got released as a 41-year-old, and he spent all that time in jail wrongfully. This poor guy, as he clutched the hands of his lawyer in Brooklyn courtroom. So that is really sad. This poor man, literally, his whole life is ruined because of being wrongfully accused. There's more to it, and the pictures are very upsetting because this poor guy is definitely, he was breaking down when they his case, I guess, resurfaced, or they did more of an investigation. But why does it take 17 years for this stuff to come out properly? I don't know. So, I mean, it's not like one of these things where, I hate to say it because this is what's going to come up. Well, this shows you with these people who are saying they're sexually abused and stuff. Well, these people don't come forth for like 20 or 30 years, sometimes even longer. That's different. This guy was already wrongfully captured, and he spent his whole life in jail. So that is quite different than a person who comes up with accusations 30 or 40 years after the fact of, I was a victim. So that stuff to me makes no sense. This poor guy who had all this time, sitting rotten in jail practically, they should have been doing something about that to find out what they did wrong. And, obviously they ruined this poor man's life, his life. So that's definitely a lot different. So I don't want to hear anybody say, well, you always complain about these poor victimized women and stuff. They really are victims then, probably. No, they're not, because if they were, they would have. Like, one that really pisses me off, it's another woman that I have a crush on. A real woman this time, not one I've met. And I'm not going to go really far with that because I actually wanted to keep it out of my news segments. But I think her first name is Paula. She plays in NCIS. She's the punk-looking, the forensic woman. And she came out after 17 years or 16 years saying, oh, yeah, since I've been working on NCIS, I've been abused every day by certain people on the show. For 17 years? You're going to really take up with abuse for 17 years and you want me to believe that? And you know what? That crush that I had on her, that just kind of faded away. She's like 2 years younger than me also. She's 49. And, I mean, why does this stuff come out all of a sudden when you have somebody in office that you don't want? Now, all of a sudden, every woman comes out of the woodwork saying, crying rape. I mean, I'm so sick of it. Because you know why? Because there is women out there who are that have been raped, and who's going to take them seriously? Because you got all these idiots who are just crying rape for the sake of, I'm not happy that the electoral votes didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. And that's exactly what it's about. So that's the part that really pisses me off. I'm just letting you know. And it's horrible because true victims are never going to be heard because it's that old saying. I know it is a big cliche. The boy who cried wolf too many times. Well, it's the woman who cried rape too many times. And that's exactly what it is. So, okay, enough of that. I know I'm beating a dead issue, so I'm not going to go any further with that. But it just gets me upset. This poor guy. And it does give me fear. I fear this kind of nonsense because I'm just afraid to even approach anybody. And talking about approaching people, this is going to be like on the opposite side of my argument, the opposite side of the spectrum. Excuse me. Excuse me, that soda's really making me belch. It was a funny story, though. So I got to lighten the mood for a second. I got to give these people credit. I got to look for the story I'm looking for now. It's this cute girl, and he's this guy. They do these like prank videos, and it's kind of on the line of Howard Stern. Now there was other shock jocks, but Stern's the one that comes to mind, where Stern used to get Stuttering John to go out and have Stuttering John ask like really off the wall questions, enough to get people extremely pissed off at them. So these are actually really funny. But I was like wondering, I asked my friend Matt, maybe this is what I'm doing wrong. Not that I'll change, because I won't. But this guy in this video, he's a good-looking guy. He's a really good-looking guy. But he goes up to these two girls coming out of a gym, and they got their black, tight-ass, like literally tight-ass, ultra-tight, asses hanging out spandex. The workout pants, because they're coming out of the gym. So the guy says, I'm looking at the caption he put on there, the subtitle, and he because it's a joke, because he tells them later on, hey, because these guys, they make sure to even show that, is it all right? Do we have your permission? We just pranked you. Can we use this for our YouTube thing? And it's called, the link is, if you're interested, because it's really good, the Button Heads. Like, these guys, I got to give them a high five. Even the girl, there's this really cute girl. She's really funny. I think it's like a couple. I'm trying to look for it's called the Button Heads. And I did subscribe to it because they are very funny. And they are very, like, I'm not like one of these cutesy people. Oh, my God, they make such a cute couple. No, they really do. They're really, the woman is incredible looking, and he's a good looking guy. Oh, shoot. And I just lost what he asked. Okay, so he like literally comes out. Maybe this is what I'm doing wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. It says what he says, because he says this too. I'm looking for some fresh jerk-off material. Could I take a picture of your ass? The girls were taken so abrupt, was taken to, taken off guard that the girl actually turns around, faces the camera, point on her ass, and lets him snap pictures of her ass. And both of these girls have, like I said, this really shiny, tight spandex, and they're both like, but the one that he's like literally, and he's doing it as a joke. She thinks he's serious. In fact, she's flattered by the fact that he says, I'm going to use this later on to jerk off with pictures of her ass. So I asked my friend Matt, I said I left him voicemails. It's probably after his bedtime when I left the messages. But the point is, maybe that's what I'm doing wrong, because I go around things probably the wrong way. Not that I'm going to change, but I'm just saying, maybe girls like these guys that are, straightforward. This guy was just playing a practical joke. but are like basically very confrontational and very abrupt. Now, women are saying, well, I don't like that in a man. But that's got to be a bunch of bullshit, because these girls were not only flattered, but, the guy comes right out. I told you what he said because he wrote it in subtext, that I want to take a picture of your ass because you have a very nice ass. She's like flattered by it, so I can use it later on to jerk off to. So my opinion, if I would say something like that, I hate to mention this, without a doubt, I probably end up in jail, or definitely would not say anything like that at work, because I would end up in HR or fired. Well, I definitely end up being fired. But I'm assuming, though, nowadays, I mean, I'm looking at, like, I'm going fast forward through this video, and the girl is so flattered that this guy wanted to take pictures. She stopped, let him take pictures of her ass so he wasn't going to do that, but he made her believe that he was going to jerk off to pictures of her ass later on. I mean, it's amazing how, I don't know. I mean, I got to give the guy credit, and the girl that works with him, she does videos. They're very funny, don't get me wrong. But, because I got to look at a couple of the other ones they did. It's just like, maybe I'm going around this the wrong way. Maybe I should be more abrupt with women. I doubt it would work for me, but, yeah, it just, wow. And they got a lot of hits from this stuff. So they have one, ripped my pants prank, where the girl in the mix, she walks around literally that her ass cheek is hanging out of her jeans, because it's ripped so bad. And people are just not stopping to say anything. I think maybe one person did. So I got to give these guys, credit for the stuff they do. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really good, because it just shows you, in my opinion, almost like a double standard of some sort. Because guys could not get away with that in everyday life unless you are a really good-looking guy, which this guy was. Yeah, there's one. Did I mention this one already? I think I did. Okay, I was going to say fake ball prank, but I think where this girl, she walks around in a short skirt, the mix, and she literally has balls hanging from, like, she leans over and you see her balls hanging down. Women don't have balls, but it's part of the joke that she was trying to do and getting people's reactions. The first one I seen from this couple is one where they put these signs on her back, and the girl had one on her back, and she had a nice butt, but she has a sign on her back of her shirt that says "Spank me." I was like, yeah, I would love to spank that. Trust me, in more ways than one. But it's like, wow, I could not get away with this stuff. And then he wore one that says "Kick me," and people are laughing about that. And there's one working out in the mall where the girl's running around, like, literally exercising on the elevators or escalators in the mall. So, and there's one where I hope I didn't take that one down. I must have, but there's one they do where it looks like they shit their pants. And those, like, they made sure, like, the girl has tight-ass white pants out of the couple. She does hers individually, and he films them. And then he did the same thing, but hers really drew people. For some reason, when a woman has white pants on and she's got, like, what looks like a big shit stain on the back of her pants, that called even the girls. They were pulling out their cameras. They were laughing and taking videos and pictures of it because they were being filmed. They didn't know it until after they were told. So, I mean, yeah, it's just interesting, though, how people think, and this is our prim and proper society that we live in, which obviously is not. So I'm just saying. I wanted to that kind of lightened the mood. I got one of my gruesome stories I forgot about. Maybe I'll just get it out of the way now. This one I'm proud. I found it on my own, so I'm really proud of myself. No, I'm not. And I think it was on the Fox website. Yeah, Fox News website. Man dismembered girlfriend's body, made necklace with her teeth. And that was on the 15th of the month, this month. So that only happened, 2 days ago? This story came up? 3 days ago now. Yeah, man, this, thank God, did not happen here. It happened in England. A man in England was sentenced to life in prison Tuesday after being found guilty of murdering his girlfriend. dismembering her body and admitting to police that he made a necklace out of her teeth. What is going on with these people? Like and he looks like a nut job. That nut jobs like this can get a girlfriend, and I can't even get a freaking I can't even get a female dog to be attracted to me. I'm being sarcastic because that doesn't make any sense. I know. It says Devon and Conwell police said that in the news release that Dean Lowe, 33, was convicted last week of killing his girlfriend, 32 years old. It looks like Kirby Nodum in January of 2017. So it goes on, but Kirby, I've heard of that. Is that like a video game name or something? I don't know. But yeah, I just like women say what they say and what they actually. What is that like? They don't. Well, I can't even think of the right word. Like, you know, that whole joke about, well, she's saying no, but she really means yes. Like, that's not even good. Good way of putting it, but it seems like women say, I want the simp, and I've had this discussion with my friend Matt before, where women are saying, well, you know, I like the guy who's more like wishy-washy and very emotional and very sensitive, but what they really want is the, what do you call it, alpha male who is very aggressive and it's going to like pull them by their hair. They don't want this wishy-washy guy who looks like a woman and acts really feminine and can't make a decision for himself. I mean, that would be great because I probably would have a girlfriend by now. No, what they want is some like monster, you know, who knows where they stand and will tell them what to do. And that's completely opposite from what these women fight for every day, these liberal women, I mean. That, oh, you know, we're not being treated equally. Well, if you're not, probably for one thing, is because you don't want to be treated equally. You want some guy who's going to tell you what to do. That's what you really want. Let's face it. Yeah, Paulie, it looks like Perrette, because I never watched that show, Paulie Perrette. There's so many stories now. She has made such a name of herself, and I had such a love Jones for her over the years. And now this nonsense comes out, so it just really ruins it for me. It really ruins my crush that I've had on her for a long time. That's the one from NCIS, if I didn't say that. And I'm sorry to say I'm actually upset. It happens to everybody, I know. But this past week that Lois Lane from the movies, what was her name, had passed away. She was like 69, I think. Trying to look for her name. 'Cause I saw a picture of her, and I have stories. I didn't really mention it, so yeah, I can't find it now. They like, I guess they put recent deceased actors, and you know, because I grew up Margot Kidder, because I just remembered her name at least. And I remember when I was a kid, I mean, that was one of my, I hate to say it, that was like one of my wet dream things, was Margot Kidder. Is that right? I had such a crush on her as a younger kid. Like, I was, like, literally, I was a little kid. And Superman came out. Yeah, because I got, like, the kids' magazines on, was it Reader's Digest for Kids? And I remember, oh, we're making a new Superman movie. It was like 1980 or 81. And it was like, wow. Like, to me, that was really hot. Because she was kind of like, I hate to say it, but she was like the dirty girl. You know, she kind of was like scruffy and stuff. So maybe it's Margaret Kidder, but I thought it was Margot. I don't know. I want to put Margaret. Oh, okay, it is Margaret Kidder. She was 5'7", died May 13th, 2018. She was born October 17th, 1948. So I remember the one time because she aged so badly. She had bipolar disorder as well. And that was what was the downfall of Margaret Kidder. was her situation, and plus the fame she had collected from playing Superman was just another thing that she could never really she couldn't deal with it. So that was also a problem. But a couple years ago, Margaret Kidder was, she died at 69. She was actually at one of those Philly comic conventions, like the one now, WizardCon. And a friend said, "Hey, there's Margaret Kidder." And I was like, "No, that's not." And he said, "Yeah, that's Margaret Kidder." And he says, "Don't you want to go up and get a picture with her?" He says, "I'll pay you to get a picture with her." And I was so petrified to even stand next to her. I was so scared that I said, no. It was like you're push me next to, because it's the only thing I can think of since it's, she was in the Superman movies. It was like putting kryptonite next to me. Like I did not want to stand next to the woman. She frightened me so freaking bad because she looked so hideous that I refused to stand next to her. He says, "I'll give you money if you would stand next to her." It's like, no, I don't want to. Like a little kid, I was like petrified, and now I lost that chance because I'm never going to get that again. And we were like 3 feet away from her. I just did not want to stand next to her. She really did. She scared me. So that's the last of those. And I did have to put Margaret Kidder in. And I got to finish up these stories because it's after an hour now. Wow, I really went fast tonight. Let's see. Yeah, you know what's kind of funny because I know eventually I'll be going back to work and I won't have time. I won't have these Fridays off. It's funny. Colonial Theater, every Friday for the longest time, they have every freaking Friday, no puns intended because I think there's a movie with that name. They have these really classic horror movies playing. Well, lately they haven't for the last couple weeks. And it sucks because I could go to the Colonial Theater and actually check out some of these classic horror films. So they're not going to start them up again until June, it looks like. And then there's the Blob Fest coming up, too, I think around June or July. I forget. I have that somewhere in the mix. But I'm not going to have time to go through this. If it's not up, you're not going to hear it. But one of the movies they're going to put on, it's called Fright Night at the Colonial Theater, is this movie called Sleepaway Camp. But that's like June 15th. Oh, no, wait. June 1st. So am I going to still be out with the luck of getting paid and not back at work? I doubt it. I'll probably be back at work at that time. So it's going to really kind of blow. I'm not going to take off any Fridays at that point, or any weekdays unless I necessarily have to. So, yeah, again, it kind of blows. But, hey, that's the way things go, I guess. They're even having some night where they're going to be showing all the Planet of the Apes movies. It looks like the original ones, which are the better ones. I don't like the new ones at all. And they call it Go Ape. So I assume that, they're going to be showing the Planet of the Apes movies. They're going to be showing, I've seen that so many times I don't need to see it again. At the Colonial Theater, they're going to be showing Jaws on June 23rd. And I don't know if it was this weekend. But if you ever watched, I never could really get into the original series of this other show, Mystery Science 3000. But they have, the two mad scientists or whatever you have in the beginning of the original show, not the new one, because I like the new one. I don't like the original one. The two guys who play the mad scientists on Mystery Science 3000, they're going to be at Colonial Theater, and they're going to have a meet and greet. It's all incorporated. It's like $30. So it says the Mads, these are the two guys, by the way, from the Mystery Science 3000, are back this Saturday, which I guess it is Friday now, so I can say this Saturday at 8 p.m. for live comedy and meet and greet with fans. So, see, I'm not a big enough fan to actually pay for it. Yeah, it says May 19th, and today's the 18th. So, yeah, this Saturday, if you get this in time, Matt, it says live movie riffing. The Mads for Mystery Science 3K. I'm not going to screw up their names. So, and I really don't know those guys, but they're going to be this weekend at the Colonial Theater. So, But that's a Saturday. That I could go to, because if I dodge going to the Philly thing, which I really have to almost, because it gets really costly. So, and that one, like I said, I think it's only like $30. They might even have. Let me see if they have any tickets left. Saturday, 8 o'clock. Get tickets. Because I think they have assigned seats, too, on this one. Buy tickets. Wow, they sold a lot of freaking tickets out. They sold tons of tickets. Floor seats. Floor seats are $30, and balcony seats, which those balcony seats are very scary at this movie theater, because it's an old movie theater that they did not change the section where they do this. Floor seats are $25 for the balcony and $30 for the floor seat, and that includes your meet and greet. So that's actually really good, but again, they had almost completely sold out at the same time. So there's enough seats left. But my friend Matt, if you hear this, let me know, because I probably would even go to this, even though I really don't have quite the understanding. Something that's like a live performance, even if it's just riffing old bad horror movies, is more entertaining than watching it on TV. It really is, because when you have audience participation, it definitely does, on that kind of aspect, it does add to the whole thing. So, wow, they have some pictures of the Colonial Theater's new screens, and they do look really cool. I haven't been in those yet. I've only been in the older ones. Speaking about like audience participation, going back to Deadpool, that was actually really good, because, again, Deadpool is a farce. It is meant to be a farce as a movie. And that being said, there was people, like, they were in stitches laughing, I'm not joking, while watching the film. And they were laughing like as soon as the credits came up, because they were so ridiculous what they put in the credits. The wording was so ridiculous that you couldn't help. I was laughing out loud. I'm not even kidding. It was an LOL. So that's no joke. Let's see. Already I got Sleepaway Camp down under my belt. And let's see. Yeah, we'll get rid of these. And it's after an hour's time, so I should be... See, on a regular show, I would not make it, because I would have to say, I'll have to continue it on to tomorrow's show. Well, that's never going to happen, because I don't know when tomorrow's show is going to be. That's my problem. So, well, on entertainment news, I think I mentioned this before, but I didn't go into much detail, and I'm not going to go into too much more because of the time. Oh, excuse me. In New Jersey, there's this horror horror convention, and it usually was like in South Jersey, right across the bridge from Philly. Well, my one friend, he's really pissed off. A couple people were pissed off because they moved it now, which I actually like it better now. They moved there's two horror cons in Philly. Now, this is the one that I went to not too long ago. They have two a year. That's like really cool. The next one's going to be in September, and it's on September 21st, 22nd, and the 23rd. This one, though, is what was formerly known as the Showboat in Atlantic City. So this is really awesome. And it was like, I'm not going to like this because, hey, I have to go further and it's going to suck. No, they actually got better entertainers, celebrities. And they got Dee Snider. He's going to be there. Ted Raimi, Lita Ford. I mean, I'm going to mention the people I actually know. Lita Ford. Okay, here's somebody I know by face, but I can't pronounce her name. Amy Steele. She played in. She's really good too. She played in Friday the 13th Part 2. That's when they made Jason Voorhees an adult. That was the guy who had the satchel on his head playing Jason Voorhees, which I met that actor. Well, Amy Steele's going to be there, and that was really good. I actually liked Friday the 13th Part 2 much better than the first one. Now, that's just me. I like them all. Hey, Matt, if you hear this, William Catt if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he's going to be there, and they have a picture of what he looks like now, and it looks really bad. He is the greatest American hero. So, that's really cool. The guy who played the greatest American hero is going to be at down in the Showboat Jersey convention and horror convention. And he also was in House in the movie Carrie, the original Carrie, because I remember him in that film. So, yeah, I mean, dude, this is like going to be super awesome. Now that I'm going to make an attempt if my money situation goes back to being sort of normal, where I can make a little extra cash, I will definitely go to this. I mean, no, I want to go this weekend to that comic convention, but I just can't afford it. So I'm just saying. So, hey, I was mentioning earlier, I thought there's another horror film going to be playing on these Freaky Fridays, whatever you call them, at Colonial, and I don't see it right now. So I'm sorry. But when I was mentioning about VR, though, I was curious because my curiosity has, like, really, it went through the roof after I got so addicted to this. I even got my mom addicted to the VR system, too. So now the story got buried under a frozen ad on top of it. So I found every article. Now I would have had my one friend Rich on, who keeps on dodging doing a podcast with me. I wanted to do one on Linux with him because I had one question. The branded name of Oculus had just put out just the beginning of May, just the beginning of this month. They put out what's called the Oculus Go. They have the Oculus Rift. They have this other one from it's got Samsung on there, but it is an Oculus product. But then they're going to be putting out what's one called Santa Fe, Santa Cruz. And he keeps on telling me, well, the Santa Cruz Oculus is going to be just an update for your Oculus Go. It's like, dude, no. Santa Fe is going to be a separate standalone. And by the way, the Oculus Go and quote-unquote the Oculus Santa Cruz, make sure I said it right this time, are standalones, but one is like the high range, don't need a computer, don't need an expensive graphics card. The other one is the one I got, which is the, entry-level one, because I've never used a VR system before until now. And I was mentioning earlier, if it means anything to anybody out there, it's Qualcomm's Snapdragon 821 processor, which it was originally about a year or two ago, was in some sort of cell phone. Which one, I don't know. But they lifted that because it's an older... they probably had enough left that they put those into the Oculus and they gave it a new breath of life in the Oculus. But it was a cell phone battery that I was mentioning about that they prefer, if you charge that particular battery, don't have it plugged in on your head. But anyway, I was looking for different articles. I got very intrigued very quickly because there is a lot you can do with the Oculus, a lot of educational things too. There's one on learning about the solar system. There's one on the Apollo missions. There's another VR educational one on, what do you call that? On Chernobyl. What happened in Chernobyl. And it's very in-depth on everything about Chernobyl. Everything. So there's a lot of educational things on there. You can use it this product as a tool, the Oculus, or you can use it as a gaming thing, or you can just use it for virtual porn or watching virtual movies or whatever. You can do whatever you want with it. It definitely has a lot of potential. The thing that kept a lot of people away, like myself, is just the cost. Because I know PlayStation put out that PlayStation 4 where you bought that, and then you had this big bulky thing you had to buy. Same thing with your computer. This VR system, and it was the unit you set up was as big as the box that the console came in if you bought a console one, like the PlayStation 4. And it's the same thing for the one for the computer. It's a big, massive box that looks like a suitcase for the VR system, and it costs like an arm and a leg. I mean, some of these VR systems went up to $1,000 when they first came out, maybe more. So the Oculus came around, came in a tiny box. Everything was in there you needed. You didn't need any expensive other equipment. You just needed that. And it was $200. I was like, wow, this is great. Let me try this out. So I did, and I got hooked. So anyway, I was looking around, like, is there other ones that are potentially as good as the Oculus? And apparently Oculus is the number one in, that I'm seeing. 6 best standalone virtual reality VR headsets in 2018. I found an article on this. And they're actually going to put out, there's a company called I think it's My. It basically takes any American product, it's a Japanese company, and they redo technology. If it's an Apple laptop or any other company, they take that company's products and they remake it for like Japan or China or something like that. And it's cheaper too. But it's strictly for, the Asian countries. I'll leave it at that because I'm not sure exactly how to explain that. But it's MI. It's either My or I guess it's My. So My is putting out, I'm just going to say for, not to go any further saying that name wrong with this company. It says My versus standalone. So My basically replicated or worked with Oculus to make their version for, the Asian countries. So there's a My that looks exactly like the Oculus Go. So that's on the top of the list, the My and the Oculus Go. The next one on the list was HTC Vive Focus. So, and then it's back to the Oculus Go again. It gives you the biggest thing that makes the Oculus Go so presentable or, appealing, I should say, is the fact that it's $200. And it says the resolution is 2560 by 1440, which is actually pretty damn good for a $200 unit. That is very damn good, I think. And you can get 360 views. Now, believe it or not, that's just to get your taste buds wet. What they want to do is eventually you're going to like this so much, which I can't see because I don't have a computer that I want to waste this kind of money into putting together just to run their next step up on the Oculus, which is called the Oculus Rift, because it would cost me at least $5,000 to $8,000 just for the video card, and then I got to get a system to put it in, and then the system itself, the Oculus Rift, costs $400. So right there, you're talking like $2,000 or $3,000 when I paid $200, and everything right out of the box just works. So it's a very good thing. And if the worst comes to worst, the Oculus Go, I hope, and I think it will definitely appeal to many people, that they will make better low-end products that won't need any extra power from an outside the unit, like a strong computer or anything like that, and a strong video card, because that's just ridiculous. And I have a ton of fun with this Oculus Go, believe it or not. I really do. And the price is perfect. Because the next one on the list is from Lenovo, and they made one called the Mirage Solo, because I can't get that out. And the funny thing is, the Mirage, which is a lot more money from Lenovo, it's got the same resolution. It's 2560 by 1440. So the resolution's exactly the same. And it says Google has their own VR system. It says Google and Lenovo are building a 7-hour battery life using extra storage on the headset. So that would be pretty interesting. So that's obviously going to make the price a little bit higher too. There's another one called, looks like Pico Neo or Pico Neo. It looks like it's got controllers for the VR. And it's a funky orange looking thing. Now that's got the Snapdragon processor in there too. Now that's a 835. The Snapdragon in my Oculus, though, I think is a different one. I think it's a different model number. I just can't find it because, yeah, 821. So mine has what's called the Snapdragon 821, and there's this one called Pico Neo, which has actually the Snapdragon 835. So I don't know what the difference is. It says it has 4 gigs of high-speed RAM and SD support, so you can put in external memory, or not memory, external storage to expand whatever it comes with. So that's really cool. But here, get this. It says and the controllers, by the way, they look like you remember the original Nintendo system? The hand controllers look identical to that, but they're just orange. But they looked like the original Nintendo controllers for your, which has got to be very difficult to handle when you can't see anything because, your eyes are covered. Anyway, this Pico Neo, it says it's available for pre-order for business customers only. And the cost is $749. So there you go. So this Pico is also making one called the Pico Goblin. And let's see, the Pico Goblin has that Snapdragon 820 CPU. They're all cell phone processors, by the way. And that's 2560 by 1440. So I think 2560 by 1440. I think the resolution on all these VRs are pretty much on the same playing field. So you're not getting any better resolution with any of these. You're just going to be paying a different price. And then the controllers are a little bit different. Controllers. Mine only has one handheld controller. This one called the Neo has actually 2 controllers. And the one that's called the Pico Goblin only has 1 controller. But yeah, that's your 6 in a nutshell. Excuse me. Is that my VR, the HTC Vive Focus, the Oculus Go, Lenovo Mirage Solo. Solo meaning obviously you don't need anything else. And the Pico Neo. Okay, there's the Pico Goblin. So anyway, yeah, it seems like people are catching on, or companies are, that if you really want to sell virtual reality, which it sold me on, you have to make it that people won't need very expensive computers or laptops and very high-end graphics cards that can easily run way over $1,000. They can run up to like 12 and even more for a video card that's only going to be good for so long. And like when I was mentioning about this Rift, wow, I'm almost on an hour and a half. That's crazy. The Oculus Rift, you need to run what's called the NVIDIA GeForce 1080. Well, the GeForce 1080 is one of those cards. They run about $1,000, I think. I should check. GeForce 1080 video card. They don't even call them graphics cards anymore. They just call them video cards. Cost. God, I'm missing out. Did I mention I've been watching regularly when I can? But yeah, regularly because I have extra time. The show of Andromeda, and that got really good. It got excellent. If you don't follow it week by week, the show's off. It's been off for years. But if you don't follow the way it was intended to be shown, if you missed one of the episodes, you will get lost because the show is a continuation from one week to the next on the storyline. And certain characters on the show, I'm beginning to believe, I didn't see it at first, the one character who was really not a very important character, she was like an alien side character, Gemini. I'm beginning to believe in at least season 2, because that's what I'm on. I'm almost done season 2. It was only on for 5 seasons. She was like the key factor, actually, in at least the first 2 seasons. You didn't see as much on the first season. But her character plays a key factor on the entire show. So that's what's cool about it. Alrighty, going back to what I was talking about with these video cards. Yeah, your 1080 GeForce. I'm looking at the prices from Newegg, Google, Express, BH Photos, Best Buy. It's around the $600 mark, $550. Okay, here's one that's about almost $800, but still, that's a lot of freaking money. And these cards don't last forever. They end up, because NVIDIA doesn't make their own necessarily. They have what's called a reference card. You can buy, but another company makes, quote unquote, the reference cards for them. The only company who kind of once in a while makes their own cards, video cards, is formerly known as ATI that AMD bought out. They do make full-fledged reference cards. You know, this is what ATI would put out. Now it's known as AMD, who is a CPU company as well. NVIDIA has never really made their own video cards, but you will get one once in a while that are called reference cards. A reference card is exactly the way NVIDIA would release the card. It looks like it was released by NVIDIA, but actually, and sometimes it is. Sometimes you can get an NVIDIA card that is fully made by NVIDIA, and they just sell it off and have it packaged by some other company. And I can't remember some of them anymore because I used to be really on top of this stuff. So, okay, EVGA. That's the one that came up. EVGA is one of them. Power Color is another one. If you get a reference card by these companies, nothing has changed. It's like it comes in from, I believe, from NVIDIA, and they don't change anything. They just change the packaging of the box, and that's about it. Now, sometimes what companies do, they will just get the reference board. They put their own power, heat sinks and fans on there, and it, doesn't look like what NVIDIA would have done, but it's like go to town. And sometimes these companies will overclock these graphics cards and things like that, which will bring up the price. It will bring up the price a lot. Now, NVIDIA makes high-end 1080s are supposed to be the top line NVIDIA cards, but they make another line of cards called the Titans. The Titans do cost over $1,000. They cost about $1,300 and up. Let's see. And that's probably what they would prefer you to have. That's what why I'm saying this, to run that damn Oculus, what do you call it? Oculus Rift. I don't know if they made any new Titans, but when they did, they were very expensive. Okay, let's see what Amazon's charging for a Titan. Okay, here we go. And this is a video card for playing video games. Here's the prices from Amazon. You can buy a GeForce Titan Pascal, 128 gigs of RAM, or 12 gigs of RAM on the card. I'm sorry, $1,800. Or you can buy the Titan XP. These are meant for gaming and also for that Oculus. And that one I'm looking at two different ones, is $1,600. So do you see where I mean that all of a sudden that standalone VR system sounds quite nice at that price? So yeah, the Titans are the top of the line performance graphics cards that NVIDIA makes. And they have a pretty price tag to go with it, though. I'm putting in prices to see what other ones they have. Yeah, you're only going to see 1080s. They make one that's called a Quadro, which you won't use with the Oculus. The Quadro is for if you want to do... I can't remember that program to use... for like graphics design and everything. If you do graphical design, and I'm going to say that simplest way I can think of. Then you would use what's called a Quadro. That's for professional use. That's not for playing video games. It would play video games horribly because it doesn't know how to play a video game. But yeah, it says the Titan XP. If you buy it, it's out of stock right now. So that means people do buy them. They had them on, I guess, a clearance price of $1,200 from NVIDIA themselves. So, yeah, And the GeForce 1080 Ti, if you get the $700, because these are directly from NVIDIA themselves. They are selling their own video cards now. And you can run two of them if you want to. That's another thing. You can buy what's called an SOI bridge. And if you have two, what's called PCI slots in your computer for your video, you can put two video cards in there. You can double that price. So you're talking at the high-end ones, you're talking like $4,000 just to play with your Oculus. And then the bridge is $40. So, well, that's the cheapest thing. But it says GeForce 1080s are directly from the company, NVIDIA, is about $550. 1070s, GeForce cards are $550. 1070, less powerful, $400, and then there's a 1060 for $300. So even at the cheapest price, and they're all out of stock too. Wow, that means they're selling pretty well. But yeah, you're talking anywhere. GeForce Now for PC and Mac. That's pretty weird. Oh, for laptops. This means they're built in there. They're soldered to the motherboard. Don't get me wrong, NVIDIA makes really nice stuff, but I don't love it that much that I need to spend a couple grand or the price of a car just to play a VR game when I can do quite nicely on my $200 unit. Now, my friend Rich, he will beg to differ because you won't be able to play all your video games you get from this thing called Steam. It's a link. Oh, wow. Now, here's a good one. But Steam, yeah, they have games, and they do support the Oculus or other VR systems. But the problem is you have to buy a hefty system. Now, here's something from NVIDIA. I did not know they made a card this freaking expensive. Just for a video card. It's not a computer. It's just a video card. High-end gaming video card. Now, how long is that high-end card going to last? So it's called an NVIDIA Titan. It's the most powerful graphics card created by for the PC. So you would need a pretty powerful system, by the way, and a lot of juice. A lot of a pretty whopping big power supply applies to run this video card. But it's called the NVIDIA Titan 5. Now, this is to play games, and most cards have a lifespan of 6 months. So you're ready for this. Imagine buying two of these. You really could buy a car. Not a great car, but you could buy a car. I'm not even joking. Okay, here's the price. $3,000, folks. $3,000. So, again, that $200 is much more comfortable for me to run, a system that does what I want it to do. I don't need a $3,000 video card that is not going to be of use after 6 months to a year. That's just insane. I mean, you might as well be taking out small loans to buy these video cards. I remember years ago when I started using video cards and systems and stuff, and I thought they were expensive then, but they were like $50, $100, and that was a lot of money. Now they're like $3,000 for a freaking video card. Anyway, I ran too long. I ran over an hour and a half now, so I apologize for that. But I don't know when I'll be back. I don't know when I'll do another show. I always say that, but I'm being quite honest, and it's going on 5 o'clock in the morning, so that's another problem. So anyway, folks, everyone have a good night, and I hope you enjoy this show, even though it's a bit long-winded. And whenever I come back, hopefully I will have a guest. I don't know. So have a good weekend if you don't hear back from me. It's Walter from iWalter, and I'm signing off for now.